Hi, I'm Tim Omwega. Behind me is the beautiful campus apartments of Andrews University. This afternoon, it's a beautiful Sabbath afternoon, the last Sabbath of the month of April. So I've been doing this reading from the book of Mark, chapter 10, verse 35. This passage is about the story of James and John. Jesus nicknamed them Boanerges, sons of thunder. And we see why when we read this passage. So they come up to Jesus with this request. Teacher, we want you to do whatever we ask of you. I'm amazed at their audacity and impressed actually, because they had realized that this was someone who would grant them whatever they asked. He was able and capable. Friend, when you come to Jesus, are you aware of what omnipotent power he has? Are you aware that he can grant you whatever that you ask of him? And so I'm impressed by the fact that though it took a while, they had come to the point that they realized this man, being the Son of God, could grant them whatever they wanted. And so Jesus asks them, what is it that you want? Verse 36 and 37, they go on to say, well, we want my brother James and my brother John to sit one at your right hand, one at your left in the kingdom of heaven. The whole bunch of 10 disciples were livid. They were upset about it. How could they? How could they ask of this? We also are amazed by their audacity. But then let me ask you a question. How could they not? I mean, in the kingdom of heaven, let us be honest. If I would ask you, who would you like to sit next to? I'm sure each and every one of you would say, I want to sit next to Jesus. And that is what I thought growing up as a young lad. I admire them actually. They want to be the closest to Jesus. But this was not about that. If you read deep into it, in Matthew chapter 20 verse 20, you will realize they actually used their mother for their scheme, because it was a question of who was the greatest. They wanted to be the greatest. They were not satisfied by the fact that they were the inner circle. What's the inner circle, if you may ask? Well, Bible scholars say that among the 12 disciples, Jesus had 3 who were closest to him. That's Peter, James, and John. These 3 actually were with Jesus almost everywhere, and they witnessed some of the things that the rest of the disciples didn't. For example, the inner circle is the only group, they're the only ones who witnessed the transfiguration in the Mount of Olives. They saw Elijah, they saw Moses. The inner circle is the one that witnessed Jesus raising a dead girl into life. And so they had some privileges. They were really close to Jesus. But James and John were not satisfied about that. They saw Peter, who was the self-appointed spokesman. And they say, no, we want more. We want to kick Peter out of the inner circle. We want to be the only ones with power, with authority. So they went that far as to request this of Jesus. But Jesus tells them something that we can learn from. He tells them, this is not in my power to do. It's not in me, in my authority. Wait a minute. You're Jesus. You can do anything. You are the Logos, the Word that became flesh. You are the great I Am. You are the ones who made this world. You spoke and everything came to be. You spoke, there was stars. You spoke, there was the sun. What do you mean you're not able to grant us this request? I love Jesus for saying this. Jesus was simply saying that each one of us, Jesus says that our seats in heaven, could you believe that our seats, your seat and my seat in heaven has already been preordained, has already been arranged? Listen, you got to sit in heaven. you gotta sit in heaven. So for me, I don't really mind even if I am far away from Jesus in the kingdom of heaven, as long as I make it. If I'm the last in the kingdom of heaven, I will be the happiest if I would be there. Wouldn't you? So James and John wanted more. They wanted to be in the kingdom of heaven. They wanted to overtake Abraham. They wanted to overtake Moses. That's the audacity of their request. They wanted to overtake all of them, Adam and Seth and Abel and all those great patriarchs like Elijah and David. They wanted to be the closest to Jesus. They wanted that authority, that power, that strength. But it's impressive that they asked it because they knew Jesus could grant it. But God will reward each one of us according to our deeds, according to how we have served Him. And Jesus reminds them in the book of Matthew chapter 23 that the greatest in the kingdom of heaven is not as how they perceived greatness, but the greatest would be the one who would be the least. Yes, the servant of all will be the greatest. In fact, behind me you can see some kids playing. Some children are playing there. My son is playing there too. Zachary is running there. If you see him, that's my son, Zachary. And so Jesus was saying, unless we become like these little ones, we will not enter the kingdom of God. So think about it. We all want to be next to Jesus in the kingdom of heaven, but we are all moved by something innate in us, wanting to be great, wanting to be well known, wanting to accomplish much. This is not wrong. God has put those seeds in us, achieving. God told the children of Israel, I will make you the head and not the tail. So these things are good if they are pursued from a godly perspective. But when we start bickering, and the disciples got into the point of fighting for positions, that is when we get into trouble. And so friends, think about their request and think about why you serve Jesus. Do you do it to gain glory for yourself? Do you do it to gain recognition, or do you do it because you love Him? I hope my words blessed you and that you would chew on those words. Hey, in the kingdom of heaven, I want to sit to anybody as long as I make it there. How about you? God bless you.